For medieval Europe, the apocalypse wasn't just a metaphor. It was very real and very imminent. We're talking about the 4 horsemen, locusts the size of horses, the beast of the abyss, the whore of Babylon, and obviously the Antichrist. We're going to go through the medieval apocalypse blow by blow to see how this obsession with the end led to the bizarre real-world cults like the Flagellants, who abandoned all norms for group sex in the woods. Welcome to After Dark.
Hear ye, the end is nigh. Well, it was for medieval people anyway, because it was their Christian duty, actually, to talk about and be prepared for the coming apocalypse. It was laid out in the book of Revelation, where the final battle between good and evil takes place, so you had to be prepared for what was coming down the line. Today, we are going through it blow by blow, one monster after another, and discussing how these ideas about the end of the world ended up with people flagellating themselves and having group sex in the woods, as Maddie just said. How very medieval. This was not the Dark Ages. The only conceivable guest for today, of course, is Dr. Eleanor Janega. Yay! She's here. Eleanor, of course, is the host of our sister podcast from History Hit, Gone Medieval, alongside the brilliant Matt Lewis. And she specialises in studying medieval apocalyptic thought. I didn't think I was going to be able to do that in one go. Now I've highlighted it, but it's fine. We did it. And she was also the star of a wonderful documentary on History Hit TV. Go and subscribe to that now if you're not already doing so. That came out last year called Medieval Apocalypse. Eleanor, welcome to After Dark. Welcome back to After Dark.
Hello, I live here now.
You live here now, you do.
I feel like people really hate when you come on the show, Eleanor. You're just the least
Yeah,
popular
you're
guest
definitely
we ever
not
had.
one of our most popular guests ever on After Dark.
Every single
They're like,
time.
It's her again. It's going to be the worst. Yeah, absolutely.
I am genuinely so excited to get into this topic because when we do medieval history, I think we're always a little bit lost, potentially.
Sometimes, yeah, depending on what it is.
Yeah, just exposing us there live on this podcast.
However, I will say this. I was raised Catholic, and so the concepts of
the apocalypse
apocalypse
is fully
is nearer to me than I'm comfortable with, but yes.
Yeah. Okay, then that's fair. Eleanor, tell me this. Were I to walk into a medieval village and walk up to a random person, a medieval peasant, and say, "When is the end of the world coming?" What are they going to say to me?
Soon? and I mean, that's only
Prepare
kind of
ye.
it's only kind of a half a joke, because every single thing that we see in the gospel, there's a part of the gospel that we often refer to as the little apocalypse, where Jesus talks about the end of the world, right?
Just a tiny apocalypse.
Just a little bit. It's just a little soupçon
Yeah.
of an apocalypse.
Yeah.
A
And
little appetizer, yeah.
for them, this is a really important part of Christianity. And what you have to understand about Christianity is it is a linear religion, right? There's a beginning. That's when God makes the world. You're in the Garden of Eden. There's a middle, which is kind of when Jesus shows up, does his thing. And then there's an end, right? The world is going to end. The universe is going to end at a point in time. And after that happens, you're going to have the last judgment, and everyone's going to go to their ultimate place, either heaven or hell. That's it, right? So it's going to happen. Now, what Jesus says in the little apocalypse is that you don't know the hour that the apocalypse is coming, that you're just supposed to kind of keep yourself ready, because it could happen at any moment.
This is stressful as someone who overthinks everything anyway. I don't need to be told that this is not specific.
Judgment is coming.
It's coming,
all the
but
time.
we're not going to tell you when. Tell me when.
Yeah. Well, you don't get to know. And that's the thing, you're just supposed to stay on your toes.
Okay.
And so as a result, obviously, if you're steeped in this particularized milieu, anytime something gets a little bit weird or goes slightly wrong, you're like,
it's coming.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned a beginning, a middle, and an end. And that sounds very storified to me, as if it's very story-led. And we can actually trace this to a book, a specific book, can't we? See what I did there?
I like
Linking
that,
all
yeah.
the time.
Ooh.
And that book being the book of Revelation.
Ever
Talk
heard
to
of
me
it?
about this one, please. How does apocalypse present itself in this particular context?
Okay, so there is a man, and his name is John of Patmos, or Saint John the Divine, right? He is often confused with the Saint John who writes the Gospel of John.
Yes.
And in the Middle Ages, they do think it's the same guy. It is not the same guy. And John's deal is he goes off to the island of Patmos, which is now in Greece. And homeboy feels some things. He thinks some things. You know, like uncharitably, you could say that it sounds like somebody's tripping. Right? And so he says that it is revealed to him. And that's what apocalypse means in Greek. It means, you know, revelation.
Okay.
So medieval people are going to call the book of Revelation the apocalypse. But now we tend to say revelation. There's no S. It's the book of Revelation.
I saw that in my notes and I wanted to say Revelations. I wanted to, but it's not that. Yeah.
It's not, because it's just like...
It's just the one revelation.
Yeah, basically, they're like...
The ultimate revelation.
God was just like, bam, you like that? And John like has this particular vision about how everything is going to go down. He writes this out and everyone is like, yeah, real talk, I guess. And they include it in with the Bible. Yeah, it's fine. Quite why this makes it into the Bible itself, and it isn't just Apocrypha, I cannot tell you, but it's probably just because it's awesome, actually, and it's like full of monsters, so it's really difficult to not like it. It's a page turner. It's actually genuinely worth reading because you're like, what is going on the whole
It's
time?
like, it's bedazzled.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Tell me this though, people in the medieval world who were Christian kind of wanted this to happen, right? Because we think of the apocalypse as being this, I was about to say, apocalyptic thing. I mean, literally, it's you know, in our culture, the way that we read it now is it's a catastrophe, it's a bad thing, it's horrific, and there are going to be lots of monsters that we're going to discuss, and it is pretty horrific. But people actually wanted this to happen to begin.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a real sort of understanding of yourself as holy, as actually in alignment with God, the apocalypse isn't going to be such a bad thing for you. You may die. Yeah, like you might be rent apart by a particular beast, or you know, die like in one of several natural disasters. But if the I know, right? But like if the apocalypse is actually happening, it means that like, oh well, we're kind of getting to the end.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's proof.
Yeah, exactly. And when you get to the end, if you are right with God, so there's a couple of things that are going to happen. There's one version of the apocalypse that some people subscribe to, where there's this idea that after the persecutions of the apocalypse, there's going to be what we call a 10,000 year reign of peace. The last world emperor is going to come down and everyone's going to have a really nice time, just like and chill for 10,000 years. So if you survive, you've got something really nice.
Pulled apart by the monsters,
Wait,
right?
some people are going to survive the apocalypse.
Maybe in this particular version. Okay, but then after 10,000 years, God's going to be like, okay, well, everyone had a nice time. We're calling it a day.
That
like,
was
let's
just
go.
a thing. Yeah.
So, you know, maybe you believe in the 10,000 year reign of peace. Maybe you don't.
Sure.
If you don't, you're going straight to the last judgment. And again, if you think that you are good, then that means that you get to go to heaven. And you've got to understand that the way medieval Christians are looking at the world isn't necessarily like you go to heaven right away when you die, unless you're a particularly good person. Like, you know, if a baby dies, yeah, the baby's good. Like, don't worry about that. Like, they're in heaven. But a lot of people, you know, if they messed up, if they were sinful, and, you know, it's pretty easy to be sinful, you know, ask anyone raised Catholic, they'll let you know. And
This is now a therapy podcast.
we're gonna get it out.
We're like, oh God.
Catharsis. But you know, you are going to end up in purgatory, and you have to understand that purgatory isn't, you know, people think it's like limbo. It's just kind of like, oh, a third space. It's not. It's hell with a timer.
Okay.
So like you're in hell, you're experiencing all the bad things.
You're paying your debt, but you're going to get out of it.
But you're going to kind of like burn off the sins. They're going to be kind of expiated, and then you can go to heaven, right? So if you're kind of like one of those people who was like, ooh, like, you know, your general garden variety sinful, then the apocalypse is kind of good for you, because you're not even going to have to like experience hell for very long at all, right? Because like we're going to get straight to the last judgment.
So you kind of want it to happen in your own lifetime, right?
Yeah. So that wouldn't be bad. Now, granted, there are also people who are like, actually, the apocalypse is bad and we don't want it to happen.
Oh, okay.
Right? So like when bad things happen, some people are like, seems awful, right? You know, some people
Not
who
loving it.
Yeah, we don't, you know, like when the Black Death happens and people are like, gosh, this really might be it. There are people who like kind of attempt to stop it. Sometimes when people think that Antichrist has come, what they're attempting to do is, again, stop that. There are people who are like, can we just knock this on the head? But on the whole, if you're a real fanatic, you think it's going to be a good deal for you.
I'm very into this idea of but disbelief. I've said this a million times, that there, you know, we have this idea that everybody believes in the same thing, but there's this idea of disbelief is also really tempting to pursue in terms of this. But what I want to come to is that idea of, if you are a medieval person and this starts to unfold and you're clocking those things going, here we go, what are some of the first things that we would be seeing unfold in the world about us that we're going, shit, there's the apocalypse?
Okay, so angels are going to show up and blow some trumpets. Okay,
So far I'm not panicking. I'm just like,
that's fine,
okay,
right?
that's camp.
And so what happens? It's super camp. They show up and they're like toot toot toot, and
If you do it like that, it's super camp.
yeah, right. And so what they're going to do is they are going to start unsealing. There are several seals, and the seals do bad things, and I mean seal like something that's holding a door closed, not like the cutie little animal. Unfortunately.
Oh, I didn't even
If there
think
were
about
several
that.
seals,
Right,
that would be great.
Yeah,
actually,
cute.
I'd be like, come on, bring the Locusts
Love
on. And so what they first start doing is kind of unleashing natural disasters. That's like one of the big things that's going to happen. And so certain things are going to happen, like the stars are going to fall out of the sky.
Right.
The mountains will be ground to dust. The seas are going to come up and they're going to boil off. Sometimes they're going to be made of blood.
She's dramatic.
I mean, girl, like she's a stunt queen.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Like it's there's a lot of it. So there are just going to be tons and tons of natural disasters. So basically, any natural disaster that medieval people are aware of, you take that up to the nth degree, and that's going to happen to you. So, plenty of people die in earthquakes during the medieval period, generally, as they still do now. And so they're like, yeah, what if that happened even worse? Then obviously a bunch of people are going to die. So like a lot of cities are going to be decimated as a result of this.
So a lot of this is based on things that people have already experienced, right, in terms of natural disasters. But we also have the unleashing of beasts and monsters, don't we?
Oh, God,
and
yeah.
talk to me about Gog and Magog.
Okay, so Gog and Magog,
Love them.
homeboys. You know what? These are guys that you will see a lot, right? So, for example, if you are here in London and you go, you will see like multiple Gogs and Magogs around the shop. So, Gog and Magog are a really important architectural motif, and especially not just in the medieval period, but in the early modern period, people love to slap a Gog and Magog on things. So, if you see a couple of like burly, sort of like undressed dudes,
Which I often encounter that. Yeah.
but like a lot of times around clocks, in places like that, then you are looking at Gog and Magog. And what they do is they open the gates and allow
Bad things.
something through, right? And so it's like often hordes of some description or another, and people will interpret this in all sorts of ways. So, for example, when people are facing the influx of Mongols, people go, "Oh, word! Like Gog and Magog opened the gates, and these Mongols are through here, and like these are the hordes of Satan, and they're attacking us all, right?" So, oftentimes they are seen as unleashing non-Christian fighters. That's a big one. So, like armies that can kind of roll through. But this can also kind of just be used however you want it to, depending. So just like there's a couple of homies, they're not wearing shirts and they're going to open a gate and something.
So whatever you need
happen.
them to do, that's what they do.
Okay.
But this is also part of the genius of this lore, right? And we'll see this as we go through this. I was really noting this recently. This can be whatever you need it to be, actually. And that's why it endures. Okay, so we've had Gog and Magog. This is the one I'm most familiar with, and I think possibly people will be familiar with the concept of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Talk me through this
The
dramatic.
excitement on Eleanor's face.
Yay!
My favourite 4 people.
Yeah, so the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse are also kind of, they're getting unleashed at this point in time. There are some really great art motif examples of this, where they're like jumping out of little hell mouths.
Yeah.
And I love this. Like sometimes you get a
Very
little...
graphic novel.
Yeah, it's so good. Like sometimes
Like
the hell mouth
even,
has little legs.
Oh yes, I can exactly picture what you're talking about. Yeah. They're giving the Nazgul in Lord of the Rings. It's very similar, like the Black Riders heading out. That's how I imagine them.
Yeah. And so there are, of course, 4 of them, right? And so you have war, famine, pestilence, and death.
Right. Good
Okay.
stuff. All great.
Yeah,
very
yeah.
positive
Which is
stuff, yeah.
like you just get to death at the end. And
Yeah.
I'm always kind of like, I feel like it could have just gone straight to the death. But
Yeah.
like it's not good enough.
Those
right?
other 3 things
potentially
will lead
cause-
to that.
cause-
yeah.
yeah.
But sometimes pestilence is also called conquest. So it's sort of, and so again, you have like this mutability there. So obviously when the Black Death is happening in the 14th century, everyone is like, oh, word, this is pestilence.
Sure.
But when it is something like the Mongols attacking in the 13th century, you can be like, conquest.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
So like, again, you can just kind of do it however you want it to.
Yeah.
And obviously these are, again, things that everyone can agree are really bad. So it's like famine. Again, like I think about the 14th century all the time. time in these contexts. My favorite century, hashtag 14th century best century. So they are experiencing at one point in time the Great Famine, right? So this goes from about like a 1315 to 1317. And we have a series of terrible summers in Europe. So all the crops fail to the point that people can't even keep their animals alive. There are rumors that cannibalism is happening in certain places, like everyone is starving. And when it's happening on such a big scale, you just go, yeah, well, there it is. Right. And then the fact that 30 years later, kind of like hot on the heels, 40 years later, you then get the Black Death.
Just ticking
It's
them off. It's
not that weird, right? You know, and then at the same time, the 100 Years War is happening. So it's like you live in France, you're like, yeah.
It's so bad.
Yeah, seems
signs
likely.
are there.
Yeah.
And you've kind of alluded to this already, but one of the other aspects of this is an influx of natural disasters. And actually, when you were talking about it before, and we can kind of touch on it here, I guess, it's this idea of trying to explain your world, right?
Right.
And in the medieval world, part of that is going, there is another force punishing us, controlling us, directing us. And in this case, directing us potentially towards the end.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And so, you know, when you have a big natural disaster, it then feeds into this narrative that you are just absolutely steeped in. Right. It's difficult for us to sort of get in the same headspace because we have these kind of ideas of plurality. You know, we have a lot of different religions at our disposal to think about. We haven't necessarily been told this is the only way to think. Right. But they are in this particular culture that is just saying, here's the major story. And, you know, we're humans. We like patterns. Right. We like to recognize things. And so when something bad happens, it's really easy to say, oh, like, this is just like, I've seen it. You know, it's like that joke that, you know, guy who's only seen one movie. I'm getting a lot of like vibes of the same thing. It's like, so every single thing that is happening is just going to be like that again. So if you have a big earthquake happen, then you just go, apocalypse. You know, apocalypse is happening. And there are a lot of earthquakes, like especially in the Mediterranean world. Around in the Middle Ages, there are some really, really serious earthquakes that happen. So you live in Iceland, you know, you're just like around volcanoes all the time. It's really easy to just be like, you know.
Yeah, and like, what is it? You know what I mean? What they must be thinking. Yeah. What is happening? This is world altering. It's, you know, this is cataclysmic. And so you're going to want to explain it as best you can.
Oh, yeah, and absolutely. And the way that they are explaining it a lot of the time. So again, you know, not to keep talking about the Black Death, but can't stop, won't stop. Like when they're trying to explain why the Black Death is happening, one of the reasons that they've come up with is earthquakes. So there are some big earthquakes that had happened in Italy around the time. And they say, the earthquake has opened up a seam in the earth and the miasma has come out of the earth.
This is such a medieval obsession, right? Of like things coming out of stuff. That there's something bad down there, literally. I mean, is this a belief that hell is literally under our feet?
Yeah, because like hell's down there, right? So if you have the actual Earth's crust riven, then stuff can come up from out of there, right? And that to them is like science. Right.
Yeah.
You know, that this makes sense. It fits in with their worldview. And this is something that you hear really educated people say. You know, that like educated people will also be like, oh, there was a conjunction between Mars and Saturn and, you know, and it was in like this. And so like the pestilence has come down out of the sky. So, you know, like our best educated minds are really like working on it. And because they are incredibly smart people and they've grown up with this explanation of this is how the world works, this is how the universe works. Again, they're just going to be like, part of that, right?
Yeah.
Talk to me about huge locusts because
this is a scary one.
Okay, yeah.
This is a scary one.
like
I mean,
it.
we're going to move on to the bigger monsters, the bigger beasts in the apocalypse, but the locusts, Eleanor.
Okay, so and they're even like worse than you think because a lot of
That's pretty bad.
I know, like because it's like gross, you know, when you think about it, and you go, wow, locusts the size of horses. But
wait, they're that big?
Yeah.
Hold on, that's like one of those. Would you rather fight one horse-sized locust or like 20 locust-sized horses?
Yeah.
Locust-sized horses.
Yeah, every time, you know.
Yeah, 100%.
Like I'm picking the mammals every time. At least I know how their brains work.
Yeah.
This is how it goes.
They're horse-sized. I did not know that.
Yeah, and a lot of the time, the way that they are depicted in art is that they look kind of like a horse. So, and they oftentimes have like the face of a human. So
Don't like it.
They are like a
the
monster.
hybrid weird things.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, we think, you know, you hear locusts, you're like, oh yeah, the bug. And,
Yeah.
and those are bad and we don't like them and they eat your crops. But it's worse than that.
Tell me this though, in reality, are people in medieval Europe, particularly Northern Europe, coming into contact with locusts? Or is this a creature that's kind of spread from warmer climes into the cold north?
I mean, like, in theory, it could happen, but
Right.
really, this is like a rumor.
Okay,
You know,
this
so
is a monstrous version.
yeah, exactly. So like Italians, they're gonna know all about locusts.
Yeah.
That's absolutely fine. Swedish people,
Maybe not.
like less so, you know. And so in a
Can you
way,
imagine showing them a picture of a horse-sized locust being like, this is coming for you?
Yeah.
and
This
you're just like-
exists in the world.
and you're like, and you're being told that it does, right? And like again, there's like this pattern thing because of course, like locusts are one of the plagues that Moses brings up in order to punish the Egyptians because they won't let everybody go. So everyone is like, oh well, that's real. This is definitely like a thing that exists, and I'm aware of frogs, which are one of the plagues. So locusts as well. But then if you've never seen a locust, and then you're like horse-sized locust, and they're like, yeah, and it's kind of like a dude's head on a horse, and there's wings. You're like, I don't.
But also, why not? Because I'm told they exist. I know they exist. They are devastating to crops. So that's all very real. Again, it's just enough reality to base the narrative in so that we can then extrapolate fantasy out of it almost. It's interesting. It's kind of genius.
Yeah, it's kind of like, you know, a game of telephone or something, right? So, okay, like, you know, when like someone says, like whispers something in someone's ear.
Oh,
and they
yeah,
whisper it
yeah,
on.
yeah.
So you're like, locust, like big thing eats
Sure.
crops. And you're like,
Yeah.
and then like by the time you get to Northern Europe, they're like, face of a dude.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so it can kind of
That's
like
what
move around.
Eleanor said.
Yeah, I don't know. Whoa,
Doesn't
pick it up with
sound
her.
right to me, but she's the expert. Okay, let's get. Oh, I was going to say let's get bigger, but it is a bit bigger. We're going into beasts now, right?
Yeah.
Beasts. We have. We
Once
have.
more, please.
I got Alyssa Edwards in to do it. We have dragons / Satan. Satan being a dragon, dragons being Satan.
I was going to say, he's been missing from this so far.
Yeah.
So-
And it's interesting because things get going without him, right?
Yeah.
So like these
Yes.
things are, because you have to understand that the apocalypse is something that God is letting happen. Because God is all like, I'm sick of you people.
That'd be me
Like,
if
you
I was
know.
God. I'd be like, guys, I am tired. I'm just gonna go and destroy
well,
all this.
So, you know, we're at this point in time, it's just been kind of like things are unleashed that were being held back, right? By, you know, God's.
So this isn't
love.
like a great evil plan done by Satan, but he does crop up.
Yeah, so Satan is now going to show up, right? He's like, everybody, like, things have got like
He
pretty
just had
like.
his feet up for the first bit of the apocalypse. It's like,
Exact.
oh, this is happening.
He's coming in for like Act 2.
Yeah.
He is a dragon. Is the way, and he's got many heads. You know,
Is this
like, so.
always the case? In medieval depiction, the devil is always a dragon.
In this context, yes.
In the apocalyptic
Yeah, in the
context.
apocalyptic
Okay.
context. And there's going to be like more than one guy who's got 7 heads. Like, look, I don't know what to tell you. It's just like, this is what's going to happen. And so the dragon comes up, and Satan is, you know, like depicted oftentimes as a red dragon, and he's going to come up, and what he depicts is kind of like the spiritual foe of God.
Okay.
So he's going to come out and he's like, hell yeah, can't wait to like eat all of the innocent and torture them. This is going to be absolutely brilliant, right? So out he comes, but he is going to run into his old op, St. Michael the Archangel. So
for like a final throwdown.
yeah,
Okay.
you know, it's like
The ultimate twunk.
Yeah, we love, you know, like I'll tell you what, there are a lot of St. Michaels out there, and I'm very serious, where he's like shown fighting the devil, and the devil's like very thirsty for it. He's like, stop. Oh, wow. Oh, he's got his foot on my throat, you know, kind of a deal. And
Good.
so, you know, basically Satan ended up down there during the war between the angels and the demons. And so he has fought St. Michael once before and lost, and now it's like rematch. He's going to lose again. But so there's going to be like a big battle in the sky between the dragon and St. Michael. And of course, St. Michael's going to win because obviously it does. But this doesn't stop the dragon from existing. Basically, what Satan then does is he's like, tag me out, bro, tag me out. And he goes to the beast in the abyss.
Oh, okay. So he could kind of occupy these different creatures and they still exist,
Yeah.
whether he's in them or not.
Yeah, so the beast of the abyss now, we usually identify as Antichrist.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so but the Antichrist is not Satan.
That is correct.
Oh, but kind of is.
Yeah, so, okay. So Antichrist is like, he's this whole other guy, right? And so the thing that we need to understand about Antichrist is created by Satan as a way of kind of mocking Christ. So,
In the same way that God creates Christ, right? That
Yeah.
It's kind of a mirror of that.
exactly. But
Yeah.
obviously because Satan can't create anything because, he's not God, only God can create. There are a couple of different ways that the Antichrist may have been made. One of the stories is that he is born from an evil monk and nun. Sometimes it's like it's a sex worker.
That's so medieval.
It's
isn't
like
it?
so good, right? So like sometimes it's like a sex worker, things like that. And so then what Satan does is like, oh yeah, this looks like an evil baby. And what he does is he essentially possesses the baby. And then that possessed baby is Antichrist because he can't make it. And then Antichrist will go on to do all sorts of different things. There's like an Antichrist legend that usually happens before the apocalypse. So he basically shows up and he's like, hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy JC. And everyone is like, oh, real talk. Better worship this guy now. He's going to rebuild the temple in Jerusalem. He's going to have everyone worship him. Enoch and Elias are going to show back up. They're going to have a fight. He's going to kill them. He's going to try to ascend bodily into heaven, but he can't do it. And then the spirit of Christ's mouth is going to strike him down. And then the apocalypse can begin.
Right.
Or the 10,000-year reign of peace. It depends on who you're asking, right? It's very complex. Like a lot of things
And
are in
where's
flux.
the ring in all of this? And
I
where's
know.
bury this, yes.
And so he has been defeated by the time the apocalypse starts. And what
Who has the Antichrist?
The Antichrist has.
Yeah.
And so he gets thrown into the abyss. And so now he's going to come back out, not in the form of a human, which he is before, but as the many-headed beast.
All right, this is
I know, right? It's
huge,
like
epic, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so he has like 7 heads again. A lot of the times he's kind of like depicted as a leopard. He's like, I'm Spotty Girl. Like it's Spotty. And so he comes out, and so if Satan is the depiction of spiritual evil, he is the depiction of sort of political or worldly evil.
Okay.
So what he's going to do is he's going to go around and he's like, what's up? Your boy is back. He's Spotty this time. And he's going to get all of the leaders of the world to worship him. And everyone's going to be like, we love the beast. This is great. And then again, basically the same thing again with the terrorizing of the innocents and, the hey. Right. So he then sticks around for longer.
The Antichrist is quite petrifying.
Yeah.
There's something more
the most
petrifying about that.
genuinely frightening thing so far.
Yeah, and he really is able to just sort of convince people to follow him. And this, I think, still quite resonates with us now because it's like, when you see political leaders and you see people being like, oh, yeah, this is great. And you're like,
Going down the wrong path there.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, so it's not particularly difficult.
And again, that kind of roots it in reality a little bit more.
Yes.
Like you were saying, that kind of the blurring of real life and real experience mixed in with all this kind of spirituality and this kind of superstition. We've had a lot of men so far, Eleanor.
Yeah.
Let's talk about possibly the most exciting person in this this ensemble, the Whore of Babylon, please.
No, this is my girl. I love and okay, so now it's illegal for women to have hobbies, apparently. So
After all of this, we've had Gog and Magog, we've had dragons, we've had the Antichrist, but women can't have hobbies.
No, it's
Women
like
with hobbies are
basically-
the scariest thing.
So my girl's going to show up riding the Beast of the Abyss.
Of course.
Because what she is doing, the Whore of Babylon, is basically she is showing you the way that the rulers of the world can be perverted through sex. So there has to be a way of bringing sex into this. Like, everyone is bored. They're like, I'm seeing lots of monsters. I'm seeing nary a titty.
Yeah.
Like we gotta make
The
it
apocalypse,
happen.
guys, we need something slightly
And we have to
Exactly.
blame women for something.
Yeah.
So Girly gets in trouble for knowing she's hot. Standard. So it's like oftentimes the first way she's depicted is she's like looking in a mirror being like la 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 and like combing
admiring
her hair.
herself.
Can you imagine? Nothing
Shocking.
worse, right? And anyway, then Girly's going to get all dolled up, really nice little dress on her. She's going to go ride the beast around. She is going to drink from a cup full of either all the filth of the world or the blood of the martyrs.
Okay.
It depends.
I'll go for option B.
And
Yeah.
she's going to go around and be like, yoo-hoo! at like every single leader in the world, right?
Okay.
She's referred to as either the mother of abominations or the mother of harlots, which I
Oh.
prefer
Mother
the
of
mother of
harlots.
harlots.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. Yes, please.
And people are going to be like inspo, you know, when she
Yes.
goes
Yeah.
live, where they're like, wow, this looks really good. And it's kind of like also a warning. So about the way that powerful men can be brought down through lust, but also a way that women can be like, yo, I would like to have some sex now, right? It's the end of the world. May as well shag about it, right? And so it's kind of like a warning about being continent,
Yes.
even during difficult times.
Uh-huh.
So she's my favorite girl because I just think that the girls get a bad rap. Like, okay, like now I can't break the will of powerful men, I guess.
And I love that like all the other creatures in this lineup are to do with like natural disasters, big emergencies, things that are genuinely terrifying and beyond people's control. And then we have a woman who's like, she represents sex.
Yeah, and they're
Sex
like,
and power.
sexy power.
Yeah,
because
sexy power. It's not good.
you have to just kind of understand that sex for them is it's a problem, right? Like, and you spend a lot of time in the Christian context attempting to just get people to have sex in exactly the right way for the right reasons, which is like married, procreative.
Yeah.
And then that's it. And so this is about the dangers of getting people to spill over into lust. Lust is a lot of times seen as sort of like the gateway sin. It's the one that you go to that is going to knock on everything else because it's so universal.
Yes.
Like everyone really, really understands lust. And indeed, it's particularly tied up with women because it's Eve who ate the apple and figured out everyone was naked and that stuff was sexy, right? So it's going to be women who are bringing this in. And people are deeply uncomfortable with women's sexuality. And so it's seen as a monster in and of itself.
Right, in time-honored After Dark tradition, we have an image, and we are going to look at this is the very whore of Babylon. So I will very briefly describe this, and then you can tell me where I've gone wrong and what I've missed. So we have on the right-hand side of this very colourful. I was just asking Eleanor before we looked at this: is this actually medieval? Because it looks incredibly colourful, incredibly well rendered, and it's really compelling. But anyway, we've got the Antichrist, I think, you can tell me if I'm wrong, who is this multi-headed, horned, dragon-type beast. On his back, then, is the whore of Babylon. And she's dressed in red, and she is holding that cup that you talked about. I actually thought it was a garden feature until you pointed out that it's sitting
It is
around.
giving fountain, isn't
I was
it?
like, why is there a random fountain in the background? But no. She's also, interestingly, like you alluded to Eve earlier, she's under a tree as well. I don't. It's there to be read if you want to read it. The setting is very verdant, by the way. It's very fertile looking ground. We then, on the left-hand side, we have in supplication, we have 3 kings crowned and in their jewels. We also have other nobles finely dressed. We're seeing a lot of blue, we're seeing a lot of red, we're seeing a lot of green. So we're talking status here. And then you see, kind of center of the image, an angel with blue wings in a red robe directing somebody who you can explain to us a little bit more just about like, now this is the whore of Babylon, and it kind of looks like, oh, and there's a little river running through the whole thing and a town in the
It doesn't
background.
look very apocalyptic.
It doesn't.
There's no disasters going on in the background. It's just
Well, the disaster is a sexy lady.
yeah. Okay, that is
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
that's the terrible thing. So
I love Eleanor. Talking about the fact that this is the original colouring from the 15th century.
Yeah.
That she's in a red dress. I mean, like every temptress in Hollywood since
the
time
dawn of
began.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, that she is, sexy ladies be wearing red and don't look at them too closely.
We haven't moved on that much is the thing. So yeah, and so you have this, all of the people are just kind of like drawn to her. They're like, yes, falling on my knees immediately. And like, as you would, right? I like that she's got this sort of a tiara that looks like a papal tiara.
Yes.
Where she's got like 3 crowns and everyone is like, real talk. Look at the sumptuous fur trim on her dress. So, this is like as sexy as it gets. It's as good as it gets. And now the angel and the guy here, that is St. John being shown by the angel, because like the angel is basically taking him around during the revelation and being like, you like that? You like that? How about this? So he's like, whore of Babylon right there. Like, don't
this is
forget.
the revelation.
This is the revelation. And so this is really kind of showing what that can mean. Now, this is also sort of like the cusp with Protestantism when we have this coming out. And so one of the reasons she's wearing this tiara that looks kind of papal is that also this is like being like, sometimes people will be like, the church is the whore of Babylon.
Yes.
You know?
Wow. Okay.
And there's like, so there, again, it's this really malleable concept where it's like, well, what is it that the rulers of the world adhere to? Then you can just go, that's the whore of Babylon. It could just be a sexy lady. It could be the church. Sometimes people will say that it's the Holy Roman Emperor. It's all sorts of things. It's always movable, right?
So, okay. Talk to me then about how this crazy, complicated, malleable story works in reality in the medieval period. And the fact that people can tie it to things like the church or women as the problem or whatever it is. You know, there are these kind of shape-shifting elements. How are people, first of all, are people well versed in the story of the apocalypse? Does the ordinary person understand all of these elements? And second, how effective is this belief, this fear of the apocalypse coming, or this excitement for the apocalypse, in terms of everyday life for ordinary people?
So ordinary people know a lot about this because, yes, it is very central to the Christian story, but also there's a whole season that you sit around thinking about the apocalypse, which is Advent. You know, we've turned Advent into Christmas. Advent is not Christmas, right? Like the lead up to Christmas
It's about the apocalypse.
is about the apocalypse. You know, it's getting darker, it's getting darker, it's getting darker. And so every
we
year
have
for that 4
Christ's birth.
weeks, you sit around and you think about this. And they will just read the apocalypse to you at church. And, you know, despite what everyone will have you tell, yeah, they're doing that in Latin, but then they're going to give you a big old sermon about what that means.
And there'd be paintings on the side
There's
of the wall.
paintings on the side of the walls. It's so common to have paintings in a church that are showing the apocalypse.
Yeah.
Super common over church doors to have like a last judgment or an apocalypse scene so that everyone goes, okay, yeah, so this is what's going to
And I
happen at
suppose
the
a
end of the
door
world.
because everyone's going to have to pass through that, so that's something people really need to see.
Yeah, exactly. And medieval people might not be literate in the sense that they can read and write, but what they are incredibly good at doing is reading images.
Yes.
And so this is all extremely legible to them. So if you show them,
They are highly literate.
They
then,
are
just
highly
in a
lit-
different way to how we would
and in
understand
a way that
it.
like a lot of people now just simply cannot do, right? Like you show them the Whore of Babylon and they'll be like, oh yeah, and they'll be able to tell you the entire story. And now people are like, she's
It's
pretty.
a lady on a dress.
Yeah, you know, like so, which is
Yeah.
which is cool, right? And so they are incredibly aware of this, and it's just a really big part of their history. And now it is incredibly malleable as a result of that, and so people can kind of like go around pinning things on it. The church is not particularly happy with that all the time. Now, you can't stop people doing it. You don't want to stop people from preaching about the apocalypse at the correct and designated time, right? But what the church really doesn't want you to do is predict the apocalypse.
Right.
And
because that's their job.
that is their, they're like, because the thing is, you don't know when it's going to happen, right? Jesus says over and over and over, you cannot know. It's just not up to you. There's no way for you to actually
kind of the
know
point.
it. Yeah, exactly.
You can exert greater control
Yeah.
if you don't know when it's happening.
And then the trouble is too, if somebody says, oh, hey, yeah, like the apocalypse is happening, and then it doesn't, then it calls the entire thing into
Nothing's
question.
true, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
they really don't want people going around saying, oh, this is proof that the world is ending. They're like, please don't say that. Do not tell anyone that this
And I
is what's
suppose
going
as well,
on.
like some people are going to fall into routines of chaos as well. If they believe that the end is nigh, they're not going to be like, thank God I'm going to go to heaven. They'll be like, oh, I can go and shag my next door neighbor now because I've always wanted to, and now it doesn't matter.
100%. And definitely we see this in particularized popular movements, for example, like the Flagellants. What happens when people think that stuff is getting out of control, right?
Ooh, okay, tell us about those.
Okay, so the Flagellants are a group of people who crop up during the Black Death. They kind of start out in the German lands, but then they move around a lot. And the idea that they have is God is like punishing the world for being sinful. He's probably bringing about the end of it. So what we are going to do about this is we're going to go to various cities, we're going to strip to the waist, and we're going to beat ourselves. And then this way, God is going to be like, oh, they've punished themselves enough. Never mind, I'm going to call off.
Aren't they great, really?
Yeah, just like, ooh, it's like, girl, that's so much. Like, never mind, okay, seems good. So,
Yeah, being a bit of a pick-me, calm down.
Exactly. And it's a really interesting thing because at first when it starts happening, everyone is like, oh, that's great.
Yeah,
Really good idea, really nice. And then eventually everyone is like,
It's too much.
yeah. And the church doesn't love it because obviously these are just like some guys.
Okay.
And what the church never likes is when some guys take it upon themselves to start a religious movement.
Because they're acting on behalf of everyone else, right? So
Yeah.
they're going to get loyalty and followers potentially, although I think most people would be kind of repulsed by it. I
Yeah,
guess.
well, at first they're like, this is great, and then they're like, it's kind of weird. And then,
thank you for your service, but stop now.
Exactly. And like, so basically as they're moving around, they do amass followers. And so it kind of starts out as a bunch of men are doing this, and eventually you've got women following them as well. You've got children following them, and they're going from place to place. They're often kind of like sleeping rough on the side of the road. And then eventually the rumor becomes they shagging in the woods.
Well, where else? Where else would that go?
Because like they're half naked. This is like the thing that they do. You know, they're sitting around like doing basically very public BDSM, and so they're kind of like,
it's that kind of like the flagellation of the body, and it's that intimacy and that performance with their flesh. And yes, it's non-sexual to begin with, but you can see how people would make that connection in this period.
Exactly. And so, you know, obviously the church takes an incredibly dim view of this because they don't like the idea that there can be lay intercessors with God, right? Like obviously that's their job to be doing it.
That's a bit too Protestant now.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, absolutely not with all of this, and definitely not with the overt kind of sexual connotations that people start interpreting from there. So it's an interesting one because here they are being pick-me's. It is like what you said, because either they're saying, well, we can put a stop to this. Like we can intercede directly with God and we can make sure that the apocalypse doesn't happen. Or they're saying, oh, aren't I good? Oh, like I'm going to definitely be fine. And then if the world is ending, well, I tried.
And I'm going to be sorted.
Yeah, and I'm going to be one of the elect.
It's giving Society for the Reformation of Manners in the 18th century context.
Oh my God, it totally
it's very
is.
much like, oh my God, we're so holier than thou. And we're going to control everyone else.
We've saved you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Also, probably in that context and in the medieval context, going around spreading a crap load of disease.
Yes.
You would imagine like they're carrying shit with them wherever they're going.
Yeah, it's like during the Black Death, the thing that you do not want to happen is like a bunch of people who are like moving around. It's like not great, not good. And people know that.
Yeah,
people know that, and they are really aware that
these idiots again.
That Black Death comes from varying places, and it can be moved around. So they don't love it.
So ironically, they are kind of spreading the apocalypse whilst
I
trying
know.
to hold it at bay.
It's like, great job, everyone.
Yeah, really good job.
Exit question for everybody. I'll start with you, Eleanor. Could you survive the medieval? Oh, she's already making a face. Could you survive a medieval apocalypse?
Would you want to?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is like, so for me, it's like, you know, when people are like, oh, well, how would you survive the zombie apocalypse? I'm always like, no, thanks.
Yeah.
I'm good.
My sister always says that. She's like, I would just lie down and die. Like, I don't have the energy for this.
Yeah, I'm not, I agree. Your girl isn't running like that. No. So, I mean, probably not. I think that like, even if it's not going to be that you get like eaten by Antichrist or, you know, you die in an earthquake or whatever, I'm telling you, I just feel like the supply chains are really disruptive. Like, how are you getting dinner? Right? Like, that's the thing. So I'm not even interested,
Will
girl.
my delivery work?
Like, if I can't get down pub, I'm sorry, like I will again lay down and die. Like, no thank you. Like, I'm not beating any of the allegations. I'm not built for this. No thanks.
I think practically I agree with you. I probably wouldn't. But the drama side of me goes, but what if I were to help lead it? So I would just like get involved in the drama.
Pick me.
Yeah, I'd just be like, what if I was the whore of Babylon or whatever it is? Red doesn't look good on me though. I have too pink skin.
You could be a trumpeting angel.
You're just going out there being like, yes, queen.
So maybe if I got involved on that level, right, Maddie, you're not surviving it.
No.
Wow.
No, she's not.
Okay,
though.
all right.
No, I love this guy. No. How dare you? No, not a chance. Yeah.
Literally not a chance. No, I'd just find it tedious. I'd be like, I can't be bothered. One monster after another.
Yeah.
What's happening now? No.
Unless you become one of the monsters.
Yeah.
That's the only way. I know. It's too much effort. It is.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree. I agree.
No. I would run off to the woods and just live there with the dogs, but there'd be all the flagellants having sex in the woods all the time. So that'd be just annoying.
And then you're like, come on, guys.
I came here for peace and quiet.
Yeah.
Like,
I'd be really
not
anxious
this.
if the dogs get eaten by some monster as well. So,
Yeah.
I was on a walk over the weekend.
Basically, we're all dead.
Yeah.
I was on a walk over the weekend and I was afraid that a bird of prey was going to take my smallest dog. So I couldn't survive.
I mean, she is
didn't.
literally tiny.
She's tiny, but she's not that small. The bird of prey is definitely smaller than her. But I was like convinced. I was like, Shane, grab the dog, we're leaving. But it didn't happen.
Just like leaning over her to protect her.
Right, get out of here. We've had enough for you.
Okay,
Thank you, Eleanor, for coming in and telling us all about the medieval apocalypse. If you've enjoyed this conversation, and I know you have, then check out Gone Medieval with Eleanor and Matt, of course. And you can find Eleanor's documentary on History Hit TV. Until next time, leave us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts so other people can find us too. And we'll see you next time on YouTube. Bye.